I'd like to talk about the training of girls for a minute. So we know that in the 17th century into the early 18th century, young girls are apprenticed out, if you like, as domestic servants, sometimes even to friends and, neighbors and relatives. Is this still happening in the 1750s, or are people actually paying for labor?
They're not paying much, but
they're paying for domestic labor.
My theory about, it's not just my theory, but the theory about that, sending your daughter to work with a neighbor, we all know how difficult mothers and teenage daughters are. And we all know that daughters behave wonderfully at someone else's home. And so some of this is to maintain a kind of peacefulness in a household. As you send your troublesome daughter to your neighbor or to your friend, where they are willing to take the instruction more readily from this not stranger, but this other person other than your own mother. And so that pattern may still exist in rural or backcountry areas, but now in towns and cities, you have immigrant, newly arrived servants who work in the same way that by the 19th century they're going to work. They live in. If they get pregnant, they're put out on the street.
And are these indentured servants at this point, or are they so-called free labor?
There are still indentured servants. By 1750, what you begin to get, especially in the North, are people that Richard Hofstadter once called redemptioners. They're people who originally could afford to pay, but the ship captain charged so much that by the time they got to America, they were in debt. And so in effect, they had to work off their debts, which made them much like indentured servants. But some of these young women who come into the cities from farms want to be paid whatever they can be paid, and want to not do farm work. They want to live in the city. The city is attracting young men off these farms where the land, especially say in New England, where the land has been divided so many times that the younger sons are going to get a plot this size, and so they move into Boston, they move into Cambridge, they move into Newport, looking for, to make their fortune, so to speak. And the young girls, as the men leave, the young girls leave as well. And they come into Philadelphia, they come into New York.